Alright, time to go to the second major place from the Ginnung Gap, which is highlight. And as you can see, also the central area highlights the stuff that you collected, including the rune, the golden apple, or the specific checkpoints. So, for example, in this case, it tells you that you have a lot to do in two specific sub-levels before facing the boss of Svartalfheim.
I notice how with a lot of Norse-based games, the bad guys are pretty much the giants.
Well, this is not labeled as them being just the bad guys. You have to. Anyway, where are the roots of Yggdrasil? It's more of a case of just, an obstacle to overcome, but not necessarily evil, and everything. But again, all in due time. On the roots of Yggdrasil rose Helvigrim, the spring whence all waters rise. Yeah, this is me still checking the map. Because again, it can get a bit mazy, and the map doesn't show where you are. This is one of those games where you need to pay attention to the background and the formation of the level, and you can orient yourself through that. Now, if you have enough of a keen eye with exploration, you can have, a decent enough way of, moving yourself from place to place. And even then, the levels themselves are not too big. And in this case, you have, those water currents that let you, on an upper level, so in case you actually get too down, you can go back up and try again a different path from the roots.
So there's no major punishments for getting lost.
No, and even then again, you can just replay the level if you miss something. And
I'd argue getting lost is the punishment.
And like I said, considering these are not too big, it takes you potentially like 10 minutes tops, for a complete cleanup. You can just, go around and everything. I think this was released also on Switch. And in case, it's just a perfect, also potentially for pick up and go kind of game. So.
I swear, this feels like a game that definitely would have made big advances of the dual screen from the DS era in that regard.
Potentially, yes. I don't remember actually how the Kickstarter campaign went. I know that it did not meet all of its stretch goals. It got funded and got a few, hence why we get the specific amount of Jötuns to fight, But,
yeah, right, 2015, so this could have technically have come to 3DS if they wanted it to.
Thankfully, unlike Mighty Number 9, we understood that we did not need to make, a fuck ton of different versions at the same time.
What are you talking about, Tio? There never was a 3DS version of Mighty Number 9. Those backers who are saying that they were cheated out of their copies are just crazy, including the PS Vita owners.
Are people actually,
still expecting that?
Or saying that, rather?
More ironically than anything. Anyway, your next power-up, your next magic power is a shield. The god's protection is bestowed upon me. Hail Heimdall, son of 9 mothers, protector of Bifrost.
Good to know his 9 mothers raised him right.
I mean, you can hope it happened.
When you have that many parents, at least one of them's got to get it right.
Yeah, laws of percentage and everything.
So by that logic, that means that Rentero's kids are going to be raised very well by their 100 mothers.
I'm not sure about that, but moving on.
I feel like social services are gonna have a field day with that family. I don't know,
Oh God. I'm sorry, you have how many dependents on your tax forms?
I mean, to be fair, if the story is an analog of just propaganda about increasing the natality rate of Japan, I guess the idea they will have instead a bonus from the state in order to incentivize.
That would be something if 100 Girlfriends was funded by the Japanese government. we need you to convince our citizens to have babies.
I mean, it's not founded, but it's no secret that back when Shinzo Abe was, at power, he did suggested to the media industry to have some level of, positive PSA about, encouraging people to have families, and procreate, in order to actually properly fix that, to the point where people kind of made it a meme, more or less.
Wow, so this is what happens if Rapunzel just refuses to go to a salon.
Well,
I know,
these
that
are
branch
roots
does
of-
look
they-
like hair, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
this is from a tree.
Yeah, these are just simple roots.
Very hairy looking tree.
You've never seen a root, actually, have you?
I'm not a
I-
gardener.
I do get... Count yourself lucky. But yeah, no, like, this is a tree bark. I do get what Dwibs means, though. It's like, if you look at it from a certain angle...
Nidhogg, the drake that gnaws eternally at Yggdrasil's tree.
Creature.
Dude, just give it up already. You're not gonna bite through.
It tastes like chocolate. So here's our rune.
F.
No.
F's out in the chat.
It's like half a key. You have found the roots of your dragon's rune.
Yggdrasil.
Continue exploring or return to Ginungagapapa.
Parappa the Rapper, yes.
Gungaga.
Return to Parappa the Rapper.
Now, another positive thing, you can quit the level at any point. You don't necessarily have to return to the entrance of a level and move from there. You can just, as I'm able to see, there you go, pop on the level, and there you go, right back at the exit. So again, there's a level of fast pace in terms of, more ravens, in terms of, progression through the levels themselves. Which unfortunately is not complemented by the speed of our character. If our character moved a bit faster, I argue it would have been even cool for speedrunners, but unfortunately the game wants to take a bit of time in order to, properly showcase you the environment and everything, and as a result, the pace can potentially feel a bit too slow, but at least it can compensate in some other, way. Brock,
There are
seems like the most
shortcuts and
you've-
stuff.
craftsmen of great skill.
It seems like the most you've got is like a bit of a slight dash and whatnot, but
Yes,
yeah, I do
and
get what...
I can tell you it's not a tech movement option like you say in Symphony of the Night, unfortunately.
I
Sorry,
guess more for dodging
Yes.
with that dodge roll.
kinda, sorta. Even then, the frames are very near pitch perfect.
There are shortcuts and stuff, so it's fine.
Mhm.
Boy, this place is just rife with red kryptonite.
Also, yes, well, no, actually, it reminds me of the red stones from Season 3 of Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure. Also, I was going to actually get the room, but some asshole decided to destroy the stairs in the middle, so I need to go the long way.
Strawberry flavored crystal.
Yum. Anyway,
I prefer
yeah.
raspberry.
as you can see, the place actually is the native place of the dwarves, where they have a proper forge. Right now, they don't actually, are not hostile, but soon enough they will, and you will need to actually contend. It's one of the few levels that actually has regular enemies that you need to contend against. One of the other gimmicks is that if you want to get the golden apple this level, you need to find 4 or 5, I forgot exactly how much, of those obsidian totems and strike them with the axe. After that, basically a bridge will be created that leads you to the apple.
Let's see. A game named after the bosses that you have to take down. Has anyone nicknamed this Shadow of Jøtun?
Well, no, Jova, the Shadow of the Colossus in the game is Pray for the Gods, another time.
But you get what I mean, though. It's like, it's called Jøtun, and the bosses of this game are Jøtun.
Well, to be fair, Jova, by that logic, we can trace it back to stuff like, say, Diablo,
But yeah, But yeah, no, when I was talking about, Jotun being the bad guys, I guess I should have clarified. I don't even mean straight up bad guys, but it's interesting how with most, okay, maybe not most, but a good chunk of Norse mythology or media really just chalk it up to you're gonna have to fight Jotun at some point. Like, even Twilight of the Gods, which makes Jotun actually more on the protagonist side, does have them at the root of conflict once again when you think about it.
It kind of made sense in the Thor God of Thunder video game, which was based on the first Thor MCU movie, because that was entirely Thor's characterization from that film. At the beginning, he was too cocky, and the game was a prequel to it. So of course he was, more than eager to commit, violence against, frost giants and such.
What I'm getting at is like, okay, with something like Greek mythology, you have like multiple threats, but with Norse mythology, like I'd say more than half the time it really chalks up to, oh crap, Jotun, we should deal with that and whatnot.
Speaking of instead, let's get to our next power-up, which is from a god whose lips have been sealed shut. I wonder who this could be.
Oh god, golden kryptonite. That one's
I was gonna
especially
say,
deadly.
we actually have the amber crystal from Tangled now.
There you go, the red crystals, the amber
The power
crystals.
of deception is bestowed upon me. Hail Loki, god of mischief and treachery.
And maybe for once he won't cause trouble in a story.
Surprisingly, again, no. Instead, his power-up is that, as he demonstrated, he creates a decoy that attracts all enemies and then, poof, explodes, killing all of them.
Nice.
Now, again, both with the presence of Jotun here and the Norse deities, this is not really a game that wants to be too intricate or raise questions about the morality of the people involved and everything. This is pretty much a simple test of character, Can Thora actually defeat these figures, which are just, opponents that Odin has decided arbitrarily for her to beat up in order to prove her valor? If she can actually go to Valhalla. End of story, no notes.
Which is funny, because a lot of times, usually, your entry to Valhalla is usually decided literally the moment you die, unless this game is implying that this is what happens to everyone who gets scooped up by a Valkyrie.
Apparently, this is basically a second chance given specifically to Thora, because during her lives she demonstrated valor, but only at the very end to slip up. Probably felt something that was too much of a waste for Odin. So, she's kind of a special case.
So it's like in the Good Place show, where instead of going to the good place or bad place, there's this one specific person who did just enough to balance out her good deeds and sins to the point where she is the sole proprietor of the medium place.
That's a good show.
You've seen it? Yeah.
I've only seen a few clips of it, and I know that there are a couple of memes that are attached to it, but I have yet to see it fully.
It's 4 seasons long and on Netflix. I'll definitely put that up for a recommendation for us to cover it. It's not too long.
There you go. And the entire gimmick with this level is that the dwarves will assault you in waves, but thankfully Thora's axe, despite not being enchanted or anything, covers a good range, meaning that you can just bump the dwarves onto, the ones on their back, Dynasty Warrior styles, in order to potentially defeat them in waves. So if you can ideally create a choke point where their numbers, don't mean anything, you're basically good to go. This is basically one of the tests that the game gives you, because as you noticed, even with the power-ups that you have, they are in limited quantities. You don't have like a mana bar or anything that gets refilled or anything. Instead, you operate on old-school D&D and Final Fantasy rule of having a limited number of spells that you can use that get replenished at the Mimir checkpoints, or whenever you die, potentially. So you need to actually use these parsimoniously and with the right strategic effect, which, to be fair, it is possible, but the game demands your attention to some degree, and there is no difficulty selection in this case, so the game does expect you to perform in a specific manner. This was not at the time yet where the Souls-like, mania had taken over, so I don't really chalk that up to the game wanting to be like Dark Souls, even if that had been released a couple of years by this point. The birthplace of the mighty Gugnir, Mjolnir, and Gleipnir.
forge.
Yes, behold. This game is basically just a case of showcasing a couple of stuff from Norse mythology for people who don't know. Like, behold, this deity or this location.
It's like Odin's personal tour guide.
Yes. If this was made by Ubisoft, they will have it, just as a slideshow, so you don't actually get damaged.
Except for that one Avatar game, although to be fair, that might have been just James Cameron insisting that they put in all that lore.
Well, okay, right, the one based on the game, but yes, you're correct. That was because James Cameron had the full control over the game, so he put the Pandorapedia inside it.
Is that Frontiers of Pandora?
No, we were talking about the one
the one we commentated on.
I still plan on getting Frontiers of Pandora at some point, but not now, thank you.
And I forget, didn't Ubisoft also make a game based off of the third movie too?
No.
Huh.
There was a tied event connected to Frontiers of Pandora, but it was in the same game. It was like either a DLC or an update tied to it.
I don't recall the general consensus on Frontiers of Pandora.
It was okay, but if you need a comparison, it technically was received better than, Star Wars Outlaws, and even then I still argue that, the presentation of that, yes, was not particularly great, but as an actual game, in terms of gameplay, it was perfectly harmless,
I think the dealio with Star Wars Outlaws is, on its own it's fine, it's just compared to a lot of its competition, especially how people compared it to the first Red Dead Redemption, not even the second one, it apparently lacked in comparison, but it sounds like...
I don't remember it, Star Wars Outlaws being as low, but sure.
Again, the first Red Dead Redemption, not the second one. The second one's the slower one.
Well, I argue even if it doesn't have the same amount of detailed animation, it still has the overall pace being also like that.
I feel like the first one was quicker, but fair enough. We can talk more about them when we get to those.
Having more direct cutscenes with visual flavor instead of having you follow the person cutscene.
I guess for me, Red Dead Redemption 1 feels like it flows well enough fine. I definitely do get how some people might feel about Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a fantastic game, don't get me wrong, but they certainly do want it to feel like a real-life simulator in certain cases.
Anyway, after the systematic extermination of the dwarven population, poor guys, let's collect the runes.
Yeah, Odin, you do know that the dwarves probably helped provide a lot of your weapons. Kind of a shame we have to wipe them out.
When are you getting the other half of the key? You have found both runes of Fae, the cave Jøtun, who sits on her mighty throne. Now just get on with it.
Get on with it! Going to these peripheral areas showcases you a place where you can get one of the, obsidian totems that you can hit. But you need to actually see this particular wall, which is, there you go, you can hit to create a hole. It's marked specifically to look different enough, so it may catch your attention and, make you think, oh, there's something that's not right. And it gives you a sneak peek to the boss of it, which we will face later.
Oh, hello down there. And this one looks a bit like a dwarf, I guess?
Well, no, you will see it. Don't worry about it. It's more like a Jøtun that represents the mighty of the earth.
Also, I'll admit, my clue was actually more so those group of crystals that looked like an arrow. I thought that's what they were supposed to be.
Ah, crystals, of course.
Also, we really did just knock the hell out of all these guys, even though they were probably just trying to do their job.
Don't worry, Jova. We'll use, George of the Jungle logic. The pillars are active. If to Ifun's apple awaits. We're using George of the Jungle logic, Jova. People don't actually die in these. We just get big boo-boos.
Lovely. Again, I would love Odin explaining this to the dwarves. Look, I'm sorry, guys, but I have to test this one particular soul, and that just involved her disrupting your workplace. Although in hindsight, maybe I should have told you not to attack her. That's a whoopsie.
You can say that again.
And now they're all dead.
And Odin wonders why some people turned on him during Ragnarok.
Alright,
is that why Loki left him in the retirement home?
That's how different things went for the MCU, because remember, these were all supposed to be scenes in Age of Ultron that were going to hint back when Ragnarok was supposed to be more serious as a story, but that plan got changed, halfway through because the Dark World was poorly received.
You're telling me.
Alright,
Are those doors big enough?
I need to be
Yeah, I
a
can do
little
it.
wider.
No, a bit longer.
More phallic, too.
No, it's actually instead of more angular, you may notice the architecture is still very angular, including how the runes are actually, properly performed.
So, are
rune of
these...
wealth, power, and gold.
So are these Jøtun from Norse mythology, or are
Yes,
these Jøtun they made specifically for the story?
No, they represent a specific, entity from Norse mythology, just potentially in the context of being, element tied. In this case, after, going underground, yes, Earth, because, Dwarven culture and everything. Okay.
Bye, guys.
There you go, just sitting on her throne.
Oh.
So we need to, raise our attention a bit. And also with a throwable shield, and I know what you're thinking, because yes, she will actually try to use it as, a boomerang. Can you actually reflect it back to her? Well, we'll have to test it out. For the time being, you just need to bait her into actually launching an attack. One of the big things about this fight is warming. When she does that attack, she raises a bunch of dwarves from the ground, literally sprouting them, But at some occasions, she will instead shout, you'll be able to see in a few, when all dwarves existing in the arena will try to converge upon you as a result. So you need to watch out when the horde arrives.
So basically, in this version of Norse mythology, the Jøtun basically command certain areas and the denizens of them.
Being representation of the elements and all. I should mention that the Thunder Lotus is a Canadian team, but is very, passionate about the source material in this case, and I can see the kind of respect that they tend to have. To the point that, like I said, they wanted specifically Icelandic voice actors to be as close as they could to the original Norse experience.
I wonder, with this being the space in between spaces, is the idea that all this is an illusion and as soon as we're done with the test, this all goes poof? So technically none of this is real, so it's not like we're actually murdering anyone for reals?
It's never confirmed outright, but definitely implied at the very least, because the alternative would be that Thora is responsible for upsetting the balance of how the 9 rounds work, and just that would not make sense with the test of character that Odin is giving to her. So again, it's more of a case of, here we go. There you go. You get, and you can do quite amount of damage by doing that. You can actually get an achievement if you manage to kill her just using that particular move of reflection. It's a bit. It takes a bit of skills, but it's fairly doable, especially because it deals out a decent amount of damage. However,
I'm guessing it's mostly patience, since you have to not interact with any other attack, I suppose.
Yeah, and I didn't mention, but in order to prepare the heavy attack, you need to keep holding it, so you cannot just spam triangle, which is usually the button about heavy attack, but instead you need to position yourself and just stay put, so you cannot just, be willy-nilly. However, halfway through, she raises those pillars that you can actually let her destroy, which drop a bunch of, stalactites from the ceiling, which can also damage both the dwarves, you, and her. So, there you go, you can bait the boss into committing some arena idiocy. Classic.
I see she is not exactly the most caring about her denizens, that or she's so consumed by rage that she will take them out just to get at you.
It's a common type of, characterization of dwarven culture where their deities and the people that they worship, consider the importance of a mission just enough that no sacrifice is too great to achieve that.
Part of why I do wonder if this is all technically a dream world of sense is that I've noticed that so far all the Jotun we faced are female. I'm wondering if all of them are, in a
No,
way to
there
kind
are-
of reflect Thora.
There are a couple of different Jotuns you'll be able to see again. It's just-
Okay, so we've just coincidentally
Yeah,
ranged the
just-
female one so far.
Yes, and in case you're wondering at least about this one, yes, I totally would.
Well, you know, I have
Glad
to
you
wonder,
asked.
are the dwarves her sons or her simps?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh lord, we're in
Just a
Alabama.
legion of dudes.
I mean, it's common also for, you know, dwarven stereotypes to have, again, their deities literally forging them from either like a furnace or, you know, from the rock of the mountains and stuff. Again, going to the Silmarillions or Tolkien, which took inspiration a lot from Norse mythology, the dwarves were literally carved from stone by one of the lesser gods that Ilúvatar had, you know, in his court, because said lesser god felt like he could try to be creative a bit, but immediately he felt ashamed because he felt he went against, you know, the wishes of his father. And Ilúvatar was actually this close to actually smiting the dwarves, you know, as punishment. But seeing both them and his, you know, child being, you know, repenting about, you know, their actions, decided to actually be generous and actually spare them and allow them to actually be part of the great plan of, you know, the world that ultimately also encompassed Middle-earth. The trade-off would be that the dwarves will have their own special afterlife and will not be allowed to share the one with the other species of Middle-earth. Kinda sucks, but at the very least they're not just dissipating. Also, man, this one disintegrated. Say the line, Odin.
You have impressed the gods.
Yay!
And all it took was us having to literally crumble this giant woman.
By ankle biting. Anyway, more
Jesus.
backstory. Second born and female. I grew up in my brother's shadow. My life's path was carved by my desire to live up to my name and make my father proud. With every month spent at sea, fighting in Odin's name, I proved myself time and time again. I quickly gained my father's respect. Surely it was my relationship with him that caused the first spark of jealousy in my brother. A few years later, my father announced that, upon his death, I was to become leader of the village. I now wish I had been able to see that despite the village's loud cheers, malice was growing in my brother's heart.
A jealous sibling in Norse mythology?
The
No
devil,
way.
you say.
Yeah, don't
Can't
worry,
like a
Thora.
family be normal?
No,
Worry
sorry.
not, Thora. You did your father, handsome Tio, proud.
Come on. Alright, next up we will have some proper Jotun, Frost Giants Jotun, as we venture into the Ice World. See ya.
So yeah.
Then.